What's going on, arcade nerds? Let me show you my latest game get, Mazer Blazer. This is a pretty rare game. I've only seen one in my whole life, and it was at Doc Mac's Galloping Ghost Arcade. And you know, it's very odd. I still haven't cleaned the front. The front's pretty dirty. I may actually paint the front. But the sides, look at that, man. The sides are excellent. Excellent. Now, this was really, really filthy. Yeah, there's some scratches and stuff here, but I'm not going to touch it up. I'm going to leave it just as it is. All I did was get a little bit of magic sponge and some spray awesome cleaner. Clean this up. Now, let me tell you the story on this Mazer Blazer. I often check on Facebook Marketplace, and I never clean the back door. And I often check for arcades on Facebook Marketplace. And somebody put a post, you know, for this, and it was only on there for 1 minute. So when I clicked, it was posted for 1 minute. It said non-working Mazer Blazer, and they were asking $300 for it. So I immediately, as quick as I could, replied. I probably replied within 1 minute after the guy posted it, and I says, "Hey, I'll give you $400." That's one tip, man. If a deal is too good to be true, offer more than it's worth, or more than he's asking, if that makes sense. I'm telling you, because there's other collectors out there that also know what they're looking at, and that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to try to steal it from you. So, you know, I'm not made of money. I mean, I didn't offer him $1,000, but I offered him more than he was asking, which let him know that, hey, that's a serious guy that really wants to get it. Anyways, so my wife, I had to be here at the house to do some things. My wife actually went and picked it up. And anyway, she picked it up, brought it home, and there was one memory chip that I just kind of arbitrarily replaced, and it fired right up. But before I turn this on, I want to show you all the weird guts inside this thing. And you know, this is definitely an unusual arcade machine. So anyways, this whole drawer opens up. All the parts slide out just like a Berserk. Remember, this is a Stern cabinet. Just so happens to be a Stern Seaberg cabinet. Anyways, this runs off the same board, and plus additional boards. One of the same boards as Cliffhanger, the Laserdisc arcade machine. But this is not a Laserdisc game. But anyway, so let me find the key, and let's open up this drawer, and let me show you what the insides look like. Okay. Huh, can't get the other key out. Alright. I think this is the key. My wife put locks in it. We had to drill out the original locks. And this bottom lock, it really isn't the right size, but we'll make it work for now. You know, one of these days I want to get those little things where it's like a T that comes out of here and you turn it so you don't need a key at all. That'd be kind of nice, but sooner or later I will. Anyways, this slides out just like a Berserk. Now, one thing I gotta fix, which isn't a big deal, I will sooner or later. This, good God, at the factory they just zip tied this capacitor on. See that? Anyways, when I got it, it was hanging down there, and you know we can't have that. So I need to get new zip ties. It's kind of shitty how they just did that from the factory, just zip tied it on. But anyways, and somebody put a goofy solder joint down here that I'm going to have to actually put a proper blade connector back in. But let me move this camera down here, and let me show you what the boards look like. You know, I don't know if you call this a good idea or if you call this a bad idea. Yes, it's kind of cool, but I kind of don't like how this system is. Let me lay down here. Okay. There she goes. But as you can see, let me move this viewfinder so I can kind of see what I'm looking at. There we go. This has multiple boards and they kind of swing out. And there's one board. There's another board. And I don't know if you can see it, but down here is the same board that this game shares with Cliffhanger. And, you know, I'm not a big fan of how this setup is. It just feels like things are going to short out the way they're sitting. But that's not my case here, and, you know, maybe it's just fine. But anyways, there's one single RAM chip on this. And when I first got this at the house, it didn't work. And of course the first thing you test is what? The power supply. So we had proper voltages everywhere. And so I said, okay, well, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull anything socketed one by one, and we'll test all the socketed parts, okay? No, actually the first thing I did is I reseated all the chips, and nothing changed. So I decided to pull all these chips one by one and test them. And so anyways, I happen to have a RAM tester. So I pulled out I think it was a 2116 RAM chip off of this board and tested it. And the first chip I pulled said bad. So when I see that, I kind of get excited and worried at the same time. You know, the odds of you finding the first chip at the first glance are kind of slim, right? So I'm thinking, whoa boy, there might be a whole bunch of fried stuff on this board. But I also got excited and thinking, hey, maybe I got it. So anyways, I happened to have a tube of brand new 2016s and popped it in and it fired right up. So literally I got very lucky on this one. The very first chip I even pulled to test just happened to be the bad chip. So that's super luck. So let me put this back in over here, and let me show you how the controls work on this. Let me put this key back on. Okay. Now I have my goofy stand here. Now this is interesting, the way this works. We'll get there. Okay, and let me take out this glass. So we can see inside. Okay, so down here we have our controls under the control panel, that double-handed deal on the bottom. And that basically moves a giant joystick of some sort here, right? Now, this has a potentiometer here and a potentiometer in the back. Now, when I first got this machine, when I first got it running, the crosshair that's on the screen that you'll see in a minute was shaky and wiggly, and the game was unplayable. Okay, and so I said, okay, well, the pots are bad. Well, I didn't have 5K pots, but I did have 100K pots. And so I went ahead and used 100K. Now you may say, wait a minute, why would you use 100K? That's way off from 5K. Well, I'll tell you this. It's exactly the same according to what the circuit wants to see. You see, it's using the potentiometer as a voltage divider. Okay, so then you have 5 volts on one side, ground on the other side, and if you were to move a slider across to the middle, the dead middle of 5 volts is what? 2.5 volts. So, and that doesn't change whether it's 100K or whether it's 5K or whatever. Now, depending on the circuitry on your board, that could be an issue, but in this situation, and in fact, probably most situations, it's not an issue. So, you know, although I did order the correct 5K pots, even though this works great, I'm probably just going to throw it in a bag and put it in the bottom and, you know, forget about it. But yeah, anyways, one interesting thing is on this, the analog to digital converters are right here on this board. Okay, rather than on the PCB itself. Now, the way this would work is, remember how you have that pot and it's an analog? Yeah, I got paint on my hand. Anyways, it's an analog signal. Okay, that analog signal is then converted to 8-bit digital or 4-bit. I haven't looked at what these analog ADCs are. Anyways, it brings that analog information, and these chips convert into binary code, and that binary code is read by the CPU. And obviously, it looks like there's 2 chips, and I don't see any more than 8 wires coming from here. This looks like it's power. This could be switching. Yeah, so what it's probably doing is probably reading 1 DAC at a time. A computer really can't do more than one thing at a time, especially an 8-bit computer like this. So what it's doing is quickly is reading this one, using that information, then doing something else possibly, coming back and reading this one, and using that information. And these 2 DATs are going to control your X and Y coordinates. Okay. But yeah, so I thought that was pretty cool. I think it's kind of weird how they put it outside the board, as if this board was used for something else before and this was their hack. Nope, they decided to do it this way. I always thought Stern did some goofy things when it came to how they did their games. But anyways, there's a gun right here, right? Check out this gun. You know, let me get it from the side. This gun is wood. Would you believe this gun is made of wood? And it's actually a pretty nice quality gun. You know, it's kind of cool. Yeah. Anyways, there are these potentiometers on this board, and I have not done this yet, but I will soon. You can actually calibrate this to move your X and Y properly, so it will line up with the gun sights on your gun. So, you know, you can choose to look through the gun sight, or actually just, you know, kind of watch the screen and see where it pokes. There's also some LEDs on the very bottom. I don't know if you can see that in the picture. Boy, I have this camera. Anyways, there's 4 pinball LEDs over here, 4 pinball, incandescents over here. And what I've done is I took 3 out on each side, and I put 1 LED on this side and 1 LED on this side. And in the back, I wired up an LED strip, color changing LED strip. Now, I did that because I just thought it looked cool. And it's not hurting the original harness. It's not damaging anything. See, normally, this plexi right here would light up and kind of glow. But it was a white, beige, off-white glow, and that's all it did. Well, since I put the color changing LEDs in the back, all this stuff changes and morphs into different colors and so on. And if I want to, I can get the remote and just set it back to standard white. But I kind of liked it that way. But okay, so also the fixture was bad. So I know some of you guys ain't gonna like this, but the original fixture here was plastic, and it melted, and the transformer fell through the molten plastic and laid onto this. So the plastic got so hot that the transformer fell and set on top of this. Anyway, so I did not want to use that entire fixture. So I did go with an LED fixture. And the LED was so damn bright, I decided to put a strip of electrical tape across it to weaken the blow, to soften the blow. It was so bright, it made the whole marquee just glow. Anyways, so let me put this back together and let me show you the back. The back is very interesting. Or let me show you the insides. Okay, I have turned the cabinet around so I can have better lighting. Now as you can see, we have a vertical monitor chassis. Here's your monitor right here. And you know, oh, and one thing I always thought was weird, and it happened a lot with those early Stern Seabergs, is the bottom of the cabinet is originally OSB. So I always thought, man, why'd they go cheap on the bottom like that? You know, but hey, that's just how they made them. And the interesting thing about this is it uses a Fresnel lens. See, Fresnel lens acts like a giant magnifying glass. You know, here's some fun facts for you. This was made, Fresnel lens was invented in the 1830s by a guy by the name of Augustin Jean Fresnel. He was a French physicist. And he invented the Fresnel lens as a solution to a problem they had. Now, this acts like a giant magnifying glass. I don't know if you can see it or not. And I should clean this. This is actually pretty dirty. But anyways, this is how the Fresnel lens was invented. Back in the 1830s and before, lighthouses would have a light on top, right? And the use of a lighthouse was to let ships know to stay away from that area. Okay. Well, it's easier to project. Light can be seen at a further distance if you're to project it and compact all that light to a small beam, and that's what the Fresnel lens was for. So the Fresnel lens saved a lot of lives back in the 1800s. But anyways, yeah, that's what the back looks like. Let's actually give this, come on, focus, camera. Focus. Anyways, let's turn this thing back around and let's play a couple games so you can kind of see what it looks like. Here's one thing that I never really truly understood, why they did this on many Stern games. But let me show you. The marquee is lit up. Now the marquee is lit on this game, even though the game isn't actually turned on. Berserk was like that. Frenzy was like that. Many Stern games were like that, and I just don't understand why they decided to do that. But okay, so let me zoom in, and you know what? Let me turn the light off. I'm gonna turn the light off. Let's turn this sucker on. Now you see how the picture looks warped? I need to get squaw straight in the middle. There, that's better. Okay. Now, the Fresnel lens, I don't know if it's because it's dirty or if it's part of how it looks, but I think it's just because it's dirty. And you can see there's lines going from the middle. Now, a Fresnel lens is made of a bunch of concentric rings, so if it's dirty, I can totally see how this effect would happen. But yeah, so I'm not sure, but I think if I clean it, it might clear up a little bit. Now, I did not mention earlier, but Fresnel lenses were also used in big screen TV sets at the same time period that this was being made. And, you know, it gives it a very unusual look. It's funny because if you were to move the position of your head, you can see how the image distorts. You see that? But if you get just in the sweet spot, put your face right in the sweet spot, if I can with the camera, you can see how it'll clear the image up. Oh, I forgot to mention, this game has a knocker, and every time you pull the trigger, then there's a knocker smacking on a piece of metal. And that's how it works. Okay, so let me come on, camera. It looks like we're just going to have to deal with the image being warped because the camera doesn't like to pick it up right. But okay, so I'm going to start a game. And the idea is not to let these guys get to their ship. So you gotta blow them up. Shows me the guys I'm supposed to hit for a split second, and then you're supposed to memorize that quickly and then go ahead and shoot the square. That was a bonus round. So now we're in a different spot. Screen. Oops, that's where I forgot. I accidentally hit this thing in the bottom right here. It's a freeze target. You get so many of those every game. And what it does is it freezes all the guys on the screen so you can shoot them. Oh boy. I'm not doing so hot, especially with the camera in my face. Yeah, it literally depends which angle you're looking at it. And if you were to position your, in real life, not on camera here, if you were to position your sight with the sight of the gun, the image looks clear. It's kind of odd, it's not very, it's a little quirky, it's not tuned in as much as I would like. If I were an arcade company, I would make that a little nicer, just my opinion. But yeah. Very rare machine. You don't see them very often. Now, because of the color changing LEDs, this is changing colors rather than staying a solid white, which I kind of like on this game. Let me turn the light back on again. And yeah, that is Mazer Blazer. Let me look at the menu, or the menu. Camera can pick up how this looks in person. It's difficult to actually record this in person. Anyways, let me pull out the manual, manual, and let's take a look at that and probably finish up this video. Okay, so This is what came in the bottom of the cabinet. Let's see if I can move that screen so I could see myself. Kind of blocking my own light. But that's that. It still had a bag of brand new fuses on the bottom of the cabinet. And I'm not sure, but I think that could have been from the factory that way. But Mazer Blazer, installation and operation. Each has the game description, which I pretty much gave you. Oh, I did change the dip switch settings so it was on free play. Let's see if there's anything interesting in here. I don't know. Maybe not. I know sometimes these old manuals, they have drawings and stuff, possibly from, you know, the guys who did the graphics and so on. It's kind of cool to see. Oh, this is a good example. Okay, so as you can see, here's a mirror. Okay, you look through this area here, and the monitor is on the bottom. The Fresnel lens is right here, and you basically see the reflection through the Fresnel lens. An interesting thing is, though, if you to kind of use your visuals and kind of make an imaginary measurement, because you obviously can't measure with a ruler or something, you can't measure an image. But if you were to just say, you know, go like this and look at the image on screen, and then imagine the distance between you and the monitor and look at that, believe it or not, the image that's being projected to you is actually smaller than the 19-inch screen that they give. It's just, I think they put it in there just to have the weird effect. It doesn't really increase the size. Normally it would increase the size. For example, big screen TVs use Fresnel lens just for that specific purpose. But yeah, there's that. Looks like there's a loose page, probably to this guy. Looks like my monitor schematic and something, who knows, some kind of advertisement there. Let me zoom out some, geez. And not loose pages, but just how they sent it. And here's my schematics, of course. This looked like it was definitely somewhat of a unpassed territory of hardware. I'd have to learn a few things to mess with this hardware, so I'm kind of glad that this was such an easy fix. But here's the schematics. I mean, not that I couldn't fix it, but it's just I don't want to have to learn something new all the time. But yeah, that's about it. That's what comes with it. If you like this kind of stuff, please subscribe. Please give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. You know, did you know a thumbs up or a thumbs down, either way, is good for my channel? If you give me a thumbs down, that means audience interaction has happened. And that's what Google looks for. It doesn't matter whether it's good or bad. Give me some kind of response, and that will help my channel. Anyways, have a good one, guys.